New York City in the summer has a specific rhythm: the heat rising off the pavement, the humidity settling over neighborhoods like the Upper East Side. Most residents simply try to stay cool and move through their day. But during one particularly hot stretch, local emergency rooms began seeing a surge in admissions. Patients were arriving with aggressive, severe cases of pneumonia. The profiles of the victims varied. You had a retired teacher, a delivery driver on his daily route, an employee working at the Met. These were people with entirely different lives and locations. Their symptoms escalated rapidly: high fevers, crushing chest pain, and intense confusion. Even with medical treatment, about 10% of these patients died. Health officials mapped out the cases and found a troubling pattern. In a city of millions, none of these victims had any direct contact with one another. They hadn't shared a meal, a conversation, or a subway car, yet something was clearly connecting them. When news of a mysterious outbreak hits, public fear usually fills the void. People immediately assumed the disease was highly contagious, spreading on crowded subways or through the neighborhood tap water. The health department held press conferences to verify two facts: the tap water was safe for drinking and bathing, and there was zero evidence of person-to-person transmission. The victims hadn't caught it from a neighbor or a bad pipe. Every single one of them had unknowingly inhaled an invisible, aerosolized mist drifting through the streets. The threat descended vertically from the Skyline. To find the source, investigators had to look up. Perched on the roofs of the city's residential and commercial buildings are thousands of massive industrial cooling towers. This diagram shows how these systems operate. They pull excess building heat, using evaporating water to release it. These units hold continuous water, creating warm, stagnant reservoirs. This perfect environment allows the Legionella pneumophila bacterium to thrive and multiply exponentially. Neglecting maintenance and chemical disinfection transforms a standard cooling tower into a massive bacterial incubator. The infrastructure keeping the residents comfortable inside the building was quietly manufacturing a biological hazard on the outside. Look at this human digestive schematic. Drinking contaminated cooling tower water is harmless. Stomach acid destroys the bacteria instantly. But the tower's fan churns liquid into an aerosolized mist. These tiny droplets bypass upper respiratory defenses, sliding straight into deep lung tissue. Millions of contaminated droplets are ejected into the wind. They drift off the rooftops and descend into the populated streets of Carnegie Hill and Yorkville. Once a pedestrian breathes that mist in, the bacteria colonizes the lung tissue, triggering the severe pneumonia known as Legionnaires' disease. The danger was purely mechanical. The tower converted a stagnant liquid into an inhalable, airborne pathogen. Once the city identified the source, they moved aggressively. Emergency inspection teams scoured the Upper East Side, applying high-strength biocides to flush and drain 75 contaminated cooling towers. As soon as those towers were sanitized and the mist ran clean, the surge of new cases stopped. This bacteria isn't some newly evolved pathogen. Scientists have understood how Legionella operates since the 1970s. The critical question is why modern, wealthy urban neighborhoods are suddenly so vulnerable today. This graph tracks New York City's average summer temperatures against recent Legionnaires' cases. The climate here has shifted, becoming effectively subtropical. Hotter, more humid conditions mean the window for an outbreak is wider than it has ever been. When severe heat waves hit, cooling towers run constantly. The water inside stays warmer for longer, and more mist is pumped out over the neighborhood. Legionnaires' disease is preventable through diligent maintenance. But living in a warming world means accepting a reality where the air we breathe on the street is mechanically tied to the invisible systems above our heads.